It looks like everybody's gotten something to eat. Can you hear me okay back there, Dave? You can hear me? Thank you. So good morning and welcome. I'm standing on my tiptoes. Welcome to the community breakfast this month. Um, we hold these quarterly, and I'd like to thank the sponsors who do the planning, which is Community Action, Great Start Collaborative, Berry County Courts, CASA, and the Family Support Center. So today, I really don't even need to introduce our speaker. Lani Forbes has been the executive director and provided leadership for the Berry County United Way and Volunteer Center for over 25 years. I think pretty much everybody in the community knows her. And she's going to present United Way programs for us today. So be sure and take notes. She's provided you with handouts. And if you have questions afterwards, please get back to her, although don't do it today because it's Fresh Food Initiative Day. They're very busy today. So I'm going to turn it over to Lani, and thank you.
Well, good morning. Yes, it has been my pleasure to serve as the United Way Director for over 25 years. But the Berry County United Way has been in existence now for over 90. We're celebrating our 90th year anniversary this year. And it's very exciting to share, really where we've come from and what we're doing now. I will tell you, I'm getting videotaped, so some of you that know me really well, I'm having to be really careful because that's not always a good thing. So for 90 years, United Way was started back in 1934 when Florence Tyden Gross was seeing what was going on in the community. That was during the Depression, and a lot of children's programming was going away. And so she decided that that couldn't happen, that the future of our community was our children, and needed to raise some funds to keep those programs around. And so she started the Berry Community Chest, which then has evolved into the Berry County United Way. In those 90 years, we've gone from providing funds for the programs and services. Many of your programs and services are funded through United Way during the United Way campaign, which will kick off on September 12th at the Expo Center. Very excited for that to happen. And Florence Tyden Gross's grandkids, two granddaughters and great-granddaughter will be our campaign leaders this year. But I hope that Florence Tyden Gross is very proud of where we've come from, because not only have we raised, last year we raised almost $800,000 to provide programs and services to our community, and through the 34 programs and services that operate, again, through those agencies, many of which she spoke about. And you will see those agencies are all listed here on those 2 pages. So everything from the 4-H to the YMCA. So really have expanded, although those are both kids programming, really have expanded what we do as far as working with Commission on Aging, the Family Support Center, Green Gables Haven. So really working on funding the programs that really are in need of that in the community. It's a little different for me today to be talking about the programs and services of Berry County United Way that we do directly in our office. We're very unique in that. There's several things that we're very unique in the state of Michigan and in the country really with United Way. United Way is not a national organization as oftentimes people think. They are an organization that assists all of us local United Ways. We are all local with local board of directors, our own 501c3, and we're able to operate in very different manners. And Berry County United Way does operate very differently, although United Way Worldwide is trying to get other United Ways to operate in that manner. Last year, over 46,000 times people access services, programs and services of Berry County United Way. And when you look at the totality of everything that we invested last year, from providing funds to the agencies to the programs that I'm going to talk about, last year we invested almost $3 million in Berry County. The other thing that's very unique about Berry County United Way, we're the only United Way in the state of Michigan that has an endowment fund, so that covers our administrative and fundraising costs. So any dime that is donated to United Way goes directly to programs and services. And we're one of the 3% of United Ways in the entire nation that have that. But again, that's thanks to our community and what they do. So again, over 45,000 times people access services of United Way and our partner agencies, and that's from Woodland to Hickory Corners, and from Johnstown to Thornapple Township. So really cover the entire gamut. If you're interested in seeing how that rolls out, many of you make that happen. Not only just programs of United Way, but again, our partner agencies. So I'm going to really talk this morning about what those services are that United Way provides. So I'm going to start with the backpack program, and nice that Lorianne is sitting here in front of me. So if you're not familiar with the backpack program, that has been going on. It went on last week, thanks to High Point Community Bank and Lori for scheduling the room. So last week, we had 300, right around 300 kids were able to come and shop for backpacks and school supplies. So we don't do a program where they hand out, where we just hand out a full backpack. We really believe in empowering the kids to make those choices. So whatever color they want their notebooks to be and whatever pencils they want and what color they want their pencil box, those are important decisions for kids to make. What color their backpack is, right? So we have children that families call, we income qualify them, but I also say with all of our program, it's all a lot like adult diapers. It just depends, right? They might not qualify income-wise, but there might be another situation in the household that is causing them to need assistance. So an example of that would be a dad that had 2 teenage girls, that mom was in the hospital having cancer treatments. He found out about the backpack program. He's like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know what they need. We said, not a problem. We'll schedule the kids. And we schedule them every 15 minutes so that everybody's not standing in line waiting to get their backpack. They don't know that Linda needed a backpack or that Lorianne or Katie or their family. I will also tell you that we got everything from High Point Community Bank. We have reset that up in our downstairs. We had 7 families come and shop yesterday. So just because the program is not going on over at High Point Community Bank, we are still able to serve those kids. So if we have kids that are showing up for school without school supplies and backpacks, the schools can just call us and we'll schedule a time. We also want to make sure that the kids are getting it, whether the parent is responsible with that, getting them here or not. So the way that we do that is we can pack the backpacks. We can do that. We don't like to, but we can. But then what we do is we have law enforcement deliver them, because that provides a really positive interaction with that family, for the kids to have the law enforcement doing something, again, positive, right, interaction with them. So that is how we're making that happen. We had a family of 8 not show up. And you know what? Those 8 kids need their backpacks and school supplies. So we'll make sure that they have them. Yep. So with that program, we've also been very fortunate, and some of you have seen this. We have partnered with another United Way, a United Way of Montcalm and Ionia County, and we have shoes. We have a lot of shoes. Do you know what 1,026 pair of shoes look like? It's a lot of shoes. We're thankful for that, not only for the kids to be able to choose shoes. Now we do only have adult sizes. But the kids were able to choose shoes, and their parents were also able to choose shoes. Part of the shoes that we also gave away, we take the ones that have steel toe, and those all go to Michigan Works to make sure that we're connecting people that are getting employed. We also can provide other shoes to them. We just had Tina and I worked with someone this week that we provided a pair of shoes for. So if you have someone that's in need of adult size shoes, I got them. Right? We can do adult size shoes. Any questions about the backpack program? All right. One of the other things they're all kind of unusual for United Way to do these kinds of things, so I guess I should stop saying that. We have car seat technicians at our office. And not only have I been with United Way for 25 years, but I've been a firefighter and run EMS for over 26 years, 27 now. Um, and making sure that kids are safe in their car seats was something that became evident. Most of our programs were born out of a need in the community. What we found was that families, we didn't have anyone that was a car seat technician. So NTSB does certification of that. It's a 4-day class. We have continued to send our staff to that. There's a misnomer that there are people at the hospital that have that certification. They do not. The hospital calls us to come to the hospital to help those families. 84% of children are not installed properly in their car seats. And I have to tell you, I read the instructions. I think I'm pretty okay with intelligent wise, but my car seat was not installed properly. And the statement that I make is that in 26, 27 years now, I have never had a car accident where a child was seriously injured that was properly installed in their car seat. I can't say that otherwise. Making sure our kids are safe is really important. We do have a couple of new rules that are coming out as of January 1. One is that no one under the age of 13 is allowed in the front seat of a vehicle. And praise the Lord. I have seen horrible car accidents with kids under that age in the front seat of the car. That should never happen. The other one is that children under the age of 2 will have to remain rear facing. So it's going from a year to 2 that they have to remain rear facing in the back seat of the vehicle. So we'll have further information on that I tried to put these in order as I was going to talk about them. These car seat basics or any information about car seats we have in our office and are more than willing to share. We have information about leaving kids in the car, forgetting about them. Unfortunately, we just had that happen just south of here. A child was left in the vehicle, and that's not a very successful outcome for the child. So you can send anyone to our office that needs assistance. I will tell you that I learned the hard way that we will drop whatever we are doing to go out and check a car seat. Had a grandma actually come in and say, I have, my grandchild is in the car. I don't think that it's in there properly. And could you come out and take a look? I was in the middle of something. I said, can we schedule a time for you to come back? And she said, yes. I'm like, nope, wait a minute. Let me go out and look. And I was ever so grateful that I did and that we made the time for that, because it was a 5-pound baby that was forward facing, sitting directly upright. They lived very far south. The baby was like this in the car, and I don't think she would have survived her ride home. If they show up and say they need us to check a car seat, lickety split will be out there, because I'm not having that, right? Also, I'll talk about the Fresh Food Initiative in a minute, but I don't let parents leave there without their kids in a car seat either, just because we need to make sure that kids are safe. The other thing I will mention about this is always making sure that we're using the car seat to the full extent that it can be used. So if the child is forward facing and doesn't weigh more than the weight that's allowed in the seat, we put them back in that car seat. While it's wonderful and parents love the fact that at 4 they can be moved to a booster seat if they're 4'9" and 8. Typically when the child reaches 4'9", they don't have to be in a booster seat anymore. That's over 4, right? I mean, think about that. What we have seen is children that are moved out of or moved into booster seats. How many of you had 4-year-olds that fell asleep in the car? How are they positioned in their booster seat? right? They're outside of the seatbelt completely. So using the 5-point harness to the fullest extent is something that we really encourage parents to do. Again, I could really go on about some horrible situations. I won't, but know that that is the end result of not being safe in a car seat. And it's part of the reason why we made sure that we have trained individuals. So for some of you that are becoming grandmas, which was when I installed my car seat incorrectly, we'll help grandmas, we'll help anyone. So just come to the office. Any questions on car seats? Yes. Sure. So are there resources for that? Absolutely. The Alpha Women's Place has a car seat program. They have to go through some education. My Alpha Place, is that what we're calling it now? Okay. My Alpha Place has some car seats. Alpha Family Center of Berry County. Okay. They do have some car seats. We also do. There is a charge. We work with we're all certified through the Safe Kids program out of Helen DeVos Children's Hospital, and we follow theirs. Generally, our booster seats are free, or they're $25 for a high back booster and $55 for a infant or a forward facing car seat. So the car seats themselves usually cost around $169 to $199. We generally are using a really good Graco car seat that we really like. Keep in mind, car seats aren't the more expensive they are, they're not safer. They all have to meet NTSB certification. So it's just as what works best for your family. So we're using the slim fit Gracos because those seem to work really well in most people's vehicles. But there is a cost of $55 to make sure that they are invested in it as well. So any other questions? We do a dental clinic intake for those that have no insurance, and this is not a lot of people. But if they have no insurance, we do work on connecting them with maybe they qualify for insurance, but they don't have it currently. We work on making sure that they get connected with getting that insurance. We work with a couple of area dentists that can do some basic care. This is not for a cleaning. This would more be for if they have a tooth issue that needs to be dealt with. But we also work with Sherry Health and the Berry Eaton Health Department clinic in Charlotte. So that's where we're at with that. The next, yes. No, I've not heard that, and we haven't been told not to refer people there. There are times where they might have a dentist that's not in, and the appointment is scheduled out a ways, but they bring in a dentist from one of their other area clinics. So I've not heard that. The client might have misinterpreted the information. Oh, yeah. I talked to them yesterday, so I'm not aware of that, Krista. Okay. No, it's okay. I appreciate it. Please interrupt me if you have any questions. Our Family Economic Support Office. So our Family Economic Support Office goes into area businesses, many of our manufacturing companies, helping families with whatever that struggle is with employment. So maybe they're just struggling financially and the car broke down and now they can't get to work. And how do we help them with any of those issues? How do we help them with making sure they're able to get to work? Is that connecting them with transit? Is it doing some financial counseling with them to help them figure out where all of their funds are going in their household? Is it about maybe somebody, and we've had this on numerous occasions, has gotten a job, but they're sleeping in the parking lot of that employer? And how do we help them with the income that they have find housing? And we'll talk about housing in a minute. But this is really about working with that ALICE population, the asset limited income constrained employed. So those that don't qualify for DHHS assistance oftentimes are really struggling. I say that they're one flat tire away from disaster, right? They go to they're on their way to work, the tire goes flat. Now they have to miss some hours at work. They have to replace that tire. They have to try and figure out, okay, so now what am I going to do? I had to pay for the tire. I missed hours. Where am I going to cut out of my budget? Am I not going to pay my mortgage, my rent, my utilities? Like, what's going on with that? So really working with the employed individuals that fall within that ALICE population. And Sue Oswald is who runs that or who operates with that. But everyone in our office is able to assist with those situations. And we are just very fortunate that we received a $5,000 grant from Michigan Association of United Ways to assist with rental assistance for those that fall within that category. And so, you have somebody that's out of work for a period of time on disability, and they're getting 60% of their wage, and now they can't afford their rent. Again, we'll talk about rent in a minute, but it's so high, right? So we were able to provide the $1,300 that they needed to not be evicted from their home. They're back to work full time and able to continue paying. So we do have those funds that are available as well. And honestly, that program is whatever. That kind of sounds really broad, but it is. Like, what is the struggle? Is the family struggling because now grandma lives with them and they're having to run home for lunch, and then they get caught up at lunch and with issues with grandma, and now they're not getting back to work on time. So how do we connect them with Commission on Aging so that COA is delivering lunch and checking on them and putting together those pieces so that they're able to be successful at work and grandma's able to be successful at home? So again, it kind of is whatever. There's a lot of things, and that could be everything from teachers to any one of us, right? It could be a judge. It could be any of us can struggle with some of those pieces, and helping people to put those things together is what our Family Economic Support Office does. Any questions on that? All right. The Fresh Food Initiative. Did you have trouble finding parking this morning? So every single week, and some of you sitting in this room, I can't even tell you how greatly we appreciate your help at the Fresh Food Initiative. Every week, we are able to distribute between 9 and 14,000 pounds of food. Every week, we are serving over 200, we're up to about 250 vehicles are coming through. And this parking out here, that actually goes all the way down to Padnos. And sometimes beyond on State Street with people lining up. We try to tell people that want to come to the Fresh Food Initiative, you don't need to get in line until after 10:30, because lining up at 6 a.m. doesn't get you a better box. It doesn't get you better anything. Everybody gets the same thing. So, I mean, for some of you that have helped with the Fresh Food Initiative, the first box is the same as the last box, right? So why people get here at 6 a.m., I don't know. There is some social hour that goes on out there, but know that everyone is served food. So there is a lot of food that is being distributed, and a lot of fresh food right now, because the food bank works with some area farmers. And so, like last week, they got frozen pork patties, whole chickens, cereal. Were any of you there last week? The list was extensive, and it was, I think, 12,000 pounds. They got corn, fresh corn, green beans, eggplant, peppers, tomatoes. So lots of items. And when we have an item like eggplant that some people are just not sure what to do with, we also provide recipes so that they can utilize that. And during the fresh season, we provide information about how to preserve and freeze those items so that they could actually save, that 5-gallon bucket of beans that they got for, winter if they wanted to. So all of those kinds of things. We work with MSU Extension on their food nutrition program as well. So just some things that we do with that Fresh Food Initiative, it's been really busy and have continued to see an increase in people that are receiving that food since COVID. So obviously DHHS had cut during COVID, they had given additional dollars. They've cut back on that. That's gone back to really what that normal amount is. And if you know what, I mean, all of us go grocery shopping, right? If you look, and I would encourage you at some time, if you haven't driven by when all of the food is out there, know that we pay under $500 for all of that food because we're able to purchase it at 19 cents a pound. So if you think about what your grocery cart looked like with $300 worth of groceries, know that an entire truckload of food was under $500. So I always tell people, like, if you give $1 to United Way, we can turn that into 352 pounds of food. Um, $1 a week makes that kind of a difference. So we're really able to stretch those dollars and provide a lot of assistance. That is a non-qualifying program. It doesn't matter how much they earn. Katie, if all of a sudden you had a 16-year-old and you got that bill for insurance, I use that example as a parent that all of a sudden was shocked when my kid turned 16 and got the insurance bill, the car insurance, right? Like, so, you know, if you don't, now you're not going grocery shopping because you've got this additional bill in your household and you need food, anyone can come to this program. They do have to be a Berry County resident. So sorry to pick on you, Katie, but you're right there. And you smile a lot, so, you know. All right. Homeless prevention and emergency assistance. Yikes. So I'm going to start with some things that have happened in the last month that have caused some significant issues. Number one, there is no longer a wait list for Section 8, or what is now called HCV. For any of our clients that were on the HCV list or on the Section 8 waiting list, either one of them are waiting lists, it's gone. Whether they were homeless, the homeless preference list, we can't even enter anyone into the system that is homeless for Section 8 or HCV. And they tell us that that will not be available at least until January of 2025. There is one exception to that rule, and that one exception is if they are a veteran. So when the woman came to my office yesterday and said, I'm on the Section 8 waiting list in Battle Creek and I haven't heard anything, I had to tell her that she needs to check her mail because she would have gotten a letter from them saying that you are no longer on the list and you will have to reapply with perhaps whatever that looks like after January 1st of 2025. On top of the fact that the rental units are very, very expensive. And there are very few of them. Although the great news is, if I were to look back 2 months ago, so every week the United Way does a search of rental units. You can go onto our website, you click on the blue house that's on there, and it will give you the updated list of anything that we've been able to find in the last week. So it's updated every Monday. Luckily, Tide and Lofts opened. We've had some movement in the rental market because people have moved in there, which then created open spaces elsewhere. I say anytime there's any movement, I don't care if they're building $1 million home. They build $1 million home, somebody is moving out of a $700,000 home. They're moving out, like that creates an opening somewhere on the circle, right? Thank goodness. So we're thankful for that. The other thing that's happening is seasonals are opening up. So people that have rented their cottages on lakes, those are becoming available, but those are pretty short term. They're generally only until April. But again, it's an opening, so we can look at where we're coming. Very thankful to the Berry Community Foundation for their engagement in getting additional apartment units in the works. One of them would be Tide and Lofts. There's also another unit being built in Nashville that's getting a little bit further. They are workforce housing. So they are not low income. they are workforce housing. So there has to be income to get in there. Tide and Lofts did have 9 units that were available at a low income rate, income based, but those are all full. They're full. They have been full. But again, that's created some openings elsewhere. We also have ESG funding. We are the Housing Resource Center for Berry County. We have ESG funding. We have rapid rehousing funding. We're utilizing those dollars as best as we can, and also utilizing some other funding that we've received. There are some mental health dollars that are available that we can work with if it's a mental health patient, but they have to be working with Berry County Mental Health for those housing dollars. I wish I had better news on housing. Um, it's very frustrating. I just pulled some numbers for one of our grants, and between April 1st and June 1st, we had 56 new housing crisis clients. That doesn't count the ones that we were already working with, but daily we're adding to that list. But call us. We have had success. We've been able to place people that are, or to work with some area landlords. If it is someone that is coming from outside of our county, however, then that's a struggle because they do have to be Berry County residents. And I say that for like Jennifer's benefit and some of the others. So when we have someone that's coming out of jail that's not a Berry County resident, we need to connect them with the county that they're from because the dollars are very limited and we just don't have the dollars to provide assistance for those outside of Berry County. I will tell you that did create an issue over the last couple of years when people were coming in from out of county and some organizations were maybe bringing people in from out of county. We went from having 82 HCV vouchers or Section 8 vouchers to 68. So when people are coming into our community that are not from our community, are being made Berry County residents by getting them an ID, and then they get the HCV voucher and want to move back to the community that they're from, we forever lose that voucher. So we really have to think about how we're using those vouchers when we do have them, but that was an issue. So we were down to 68 vouchers available for Berry County. So questions on housing? Chris, you got anything back there? You got any answers with community action? Okay. I'll talk about utility assistance in a minute because we do have some. So smoke detector and carbon monoxide, I put those in your packet. We work in conjunction with the fire departments across Berry County. Again, that whole fire rescue side of me, one of the things that we were seeing was that families didn't have smoke detectors in their home. And quite honestly, that hasn't changed. I wish I could say that we've moved the needle, but we haven't. 38% of all households that we go in to install smoke detectors have zero smoke detection, and 54% have one or less. We haven't been able to move that needle, although we've given away thousands of carbon monoxide and smoke detectors. And this program is not about coming and picking up a smoke detector, because what we find is when we hand out a smoke detector, it ends up on top of the refrigerator in the box. Well, that doesn't do anybody any good. So what the program is that you fill out the application. The fire department that responds to your area comes to your home and installs as many smoke detectors as are necessary to meet the National Fire Protection Association standards. So oftentimes we're installing between 5 and 7 smoke detectors in people's homes, because you should have a smoke detector in every bedroom and in the hallway outside of your room. It should not be in your kitchen. I tend to set them off if they're in my kitchen, but you should never have one in your kitchen. So I put that in there. You can feel free to make copies of this. You can pass that out to anybody that you want to. Any questions on the smoke detector program? Carbon monoxide detector program was started because one of our pediatricians um, couldn't figure out why they were feeling so dizzy after her daughter's graduation open house. Obviously, they had cleaned the house and had all kinds of people there that day, and everybody just kind of started feeling goofy that night after everybody had left. And actually, she tripped and fell going out to get some fruit left over from the incident and broke her ankle. And one of her kids, when he was, they jokingly say, he's the youngest one. So when Nick was bouncing off the walls to his bedroom, they finally, all of a sudden, it finally clicked that there was a carbon monoxide carbon monoxide issue. This was May, not normally a time, right? But something had gotten blocked with their hot water heater, and it was a gas hot water heater. So the carbon monoxide was coming back into their home. Um, so we have a carbon monoxide program to make sure that we have safe situations for families. One really short story about the smoke detector program. Received a call about 4 a.m. one morning. Thank you very much, Chief Bill Wilson, who was the chief at Nashville Fire that morning. He says, "Hey, Lani, what you doing?" "Sleeping. Just because you've been out on a fire all night, I wasn't." He said, "I just want you to know that that family of 7 got out of this structure fire. The house is gone, but we installed smoke detectors there 3 weeks ago." Pretty impactful. So we just never know. Um, and a fire can hit anyone. So having good smoke detectors in your home is critical. T1DE. So if we have a family or if we have someone that's in need of diabetic supplies, now I will tell you that oftentimes we end up resolving this without having to use this fund because it generally is about working with either their pharmacy is not getting the right information or their doctor doesn't have the right information or it's an issue that we can get from another pharmacy. So we really kind of case manage that. But if you have someone that is a diabetic that is unable to access their resources that they need, we certainly want to make sure that people have the tools that they need to be successful. In a recent situation, we call them frequent flyers when we have the address memorized to somebody that we respond to fire-wise. And it was come to find out what the real deal was that the sensors, he was not able to get the sensors that he needed, but we were able to get him a sensor, and I haven't been back to that house in like 3 months. More like a month, I guess. But it was all about the sensor that he was not working on his machine, and he couldn't get it. The insurance had decided that that sensor wasn't something that qualified anymore, and it was a deal of working with insurance. For any of you that are diabetic, I am sorry. For any of you that work with people that are diabetic, I am so sorry. I can't believe that it is so difficult for people to access the what they need, and that the cost of it is what it is. So coming up is our Toys for Berry County Kids program. This room, and again, many of you have helped with this program. This room will be turned into Toys R Us. They might have gone out of business, but we took it over. The community donates gifts, and like our backpack program, but the parents, they income qualify. Again, it depends. If there's situations, we make sure that we've got those covered. But the parent gets to come in and shop for their children for Christmas. They get to choose 3 to 4 items. They get to choose, well, let's see, what else do we have? Stocking stuffers, pajamas. Every family gets a game. Every family gets a puzzle. They get wrapping paper, books. Thank you, Leanne. She provided a bunch of those last year. So they really get to shop for their children. This is outside of, so the reason this program got started is because once Thanksgiving hits is when Tina stops with the signing up families for their program to be adopted. So we had found that there was a large list of families that didn't, or that waited until the last minute to get presents for their kids for Christmas. They thought they were going to get one more check, or they thought they had money and they got a flat tire on their way to work, right? Or something happened. We've also worked with those that maybe with DH or CPS, maybe they've had a removal on Christmas Eve, and we need to get presents for that family as well. So that program operates the week before Christmas. If you want to volunteer or purchase gifts for that program, it's amazing what people choose to give. And there are trees up around Berry County. Again, High Point Community Bank partners with us, and they do a tree as well as many other businesses. So if you haven't ever seen it, I would encourage you to come and see what's available for our families. It's incredible, the kindness and goodness of our community. So, any questions about that? Some of you have volunteered with it. Anybody want to say anything about it? Okay. I don't know if you've ever volunteered for this program, but it's for every person. One woman in particular that I will never help her carry her things out, go down the back stairs, and she asked me to help me. She stood and cried and said, I'm normally the one that's volunteering, but this year, this one is kids think I have. So it is, I don't want us to feel like it's somebody else. It's someone that you know. It's really awesome. Do something. I'll tell you a really quick, cool story about it. I'm going to get in trouble if I'm not over there to unload the truck. So I'll tell you a really quick story about that. So one year we had somebody donate 65-inch TVs. They donated 3 of them, right? And how do you decide who gets that? So what we did was we put all of the names into a hat that had signed up, and we drew them, right? So all of the families that were coming in to shop, we drew the name. We drew 3 different names. And one family came in, I don't know if I can tell this story. One family came in and I met them at the door down here. And I said, we have something else for you. We had somebody donate items, and then we did a drawing for everyone that had signed up. And so I'm very happy to tell you that you were that family. And if you don't need it, we'd like for you to pass it on to somebody else. But I then hit the button on the elevator and opened it up, and there was the TV. The dad walked out of the building. He turned around and he walked out of the building. And I thought, oh no, have I offended him? Like, what's going on? The mom burst into tears and said, we just moved here from Texas, and the one thing we couldn't fit in our car was our television. The dad was crying. That's why he walked out of the building. Then I was crying, right? And we've done that with several other things. Again, the kindness of our community. We had a bunch of, well, not a bunch, but we had somebody donate 3 ride-on Jeeps. And so the kids that fit within that age group, we put them in that drawing as well for those 3. And so the kids that came, anyway, I could go on about the Christmas program. I will tell you, I cry all week. I always try to tell our new staff that it's going to be, it is a very emotional week. And especially the guys that work for us. Joe that works for us now said, I had no idea that it was going to be this emotional, because those hugs are often, and it's incredible. So really thankful for all of the community and what they do for that program, but making sure that we're connecting anyone that needs it is really important. Utility assistance, Chris hit on this. So DHHS is out of utility assistance and has been since July 15th. We have funding. We are the only MEAP, which is Michigan Energy Assistance Program, that has funding in the entire state. True North is out, Salvation Army's out, St. Vincent de Paul's out, everybody's out. So they're having people call us. We are telling them, and we have told the state, they've asked us to share those dollars, and we said absolutely not. While we like to share with a lot of things, that's not one of them. We received a grant for $150,000 for Berry County residents. We're going to use it for Berry County residents. We are down to about $25,000 that will not get us through the end of September. Last week, my board of directors voted that we will be providing the funding for anyone that qualifies for MEAP once we've expended the state dollars. So people will not be without utility assistance. And we're seeing bills like $1,300. We're seeing huge bills because they're getting shut off notices from the state. Now, there are programs that are providing additional assistance, like Tina can provide some funding, and Chris mentioned that she had some funding. But I can tell you, I'm spending, today I'm writing a check for the last 2 weeks, and it's $18,000. There's no way that Berry County Cares or CAA can, or CACA, can provide, we laughed about that a lot when they first changed that name, that can provide the kind of funding that is needed. What we looked at DHHS, what we found was that they were spending between $35,000 and $37,000 a month on utility assistance, and then ran out on July 15th. So, Tina, you wanted to say something? But they have to come to us first, right? They have to come to us first. So, but again, my board, we're blessed to have the board that we have that does the things that they do in Berry County, because when they see a need, they're more than willing to step up and do what needs to happen. Veterans Affairs is in there. We are the Veterans Affairs for Berry County. So if you have a veteran, please have them come to our office. We have a veteran coordinator, the medical benefits coordinator there 2 days a week, Monday and Tuesday. And so really, if you look at the numbers, really being able to reach a lot of those veterans. One of the things we also track with the Fresh Food Initiative is that the number of veterans, and we're seeing between 38 and 43 veterans every week is getting accessing food assistance. So if you have any questions about that, we have several funds that can help soldiers and sailors, Michigan Veterans Trust Fund, Mission United funds. So if they're a veteran, there's a lot of resources that we can use to help them. Our volunteer center, Day of Caring is coming up on September 12th. For those of you that want to volunteer, or for those of you that are agencies that have projects, I was just asked, like, can we still sign up with projects? Yeah. Last year, again, incredible Berry County, right? We had the largest Day of Caring in the entire state of Michigan. That means Detroit, Grand Rapids, all of those communities didn't have 506 volunteers out on United Way Day of Caring. We're a community of 62,000. We had over 500 volunteers providing projects. If you have projects that need to get done, please contact us. And then there's VSP vouchers are on there. Unfortunately, VSP has put a halt to that program at this point, so we don't have eyeglass vouchers, but we do have a way of accessing some funds, and we're going to change that information in our brochure, but we have a way of accessing funds. We can't have somebody's barrier to getting employment not being able to see. Should never be a barrier to employment, right? So 2 really other quick things that I'm going to hit on that are not in here, but these are things that we do that are because it's needed. One of them is that we teach, I'm a CPR and AED instructor. The reason why I did that, for one thing, was because Commission on Aging was paying about $6,500 a year or every 2 years to get their people certified. $6,500 can go a really long way to providing direct services to people with Meals on Wheels, right? So I do the instruction for no cost. My board voted for me to become an instructor. I've been an instructor for, I don't know, 20 years or so. I will also tell you one of the things that we do is called the Got a Minute, Learn CPR. So you don't have to be certified to do CPR. Training as many people as we can to do CPR is life-saving. They need to know how to do chest compressions. It's not a certificate. We can come in and do that with your staff in about a half an hour time period, 20 minutes to a half an hour. I can tell you that it is changing the outcome of Berry County, changing the outcome of people that have full arrest in Berry County, because people know how to do chest compressions. There is a time period between when you call 911 and when someone's going to get there to rescue. And in that time period, for every minute that chest compressions are not done, there's a 7 to 10% less chance of survival. So getting people to know how to do chest compressions, feel really strongly about this, almost as strong as the car seats, right? Because we're changing the outcome. I think, Jennifer, you're friends with Bruce Welker. If his wife wouldn't have started CPR, we would have had to tell one of his firefighters that his dad had passed away. His wife started CPR. One of our firefighters lived a quarter of a mile down the road, got there and helped her with the CPR. He walked out of the hospital, and today he's playing with his grandkids. And we're seeing more and more of those because the general public is trained in how to do chest compressions. So if we can help you or your church or anyone learn how to do chest compressions, let me know. More than happy to help with that. And the last thing I'm going to end with is emergency management. We work directly with our emergency manager, Jim Yarger, with emergencies that happen, right? When we had the flooding down at the lakes, we were able to work and we got a whole bunch of pumps donated, so we were able to help them get the water pumped out of their houses. When we had flooding down at Thornapple Lake, we needed water for those people because they couldn't utilize any water. Everything was submerged, right? We made a phone call and had a semi-truck of water here in 45 minutes. So when those disasters and emergencies hit in our community, we also have a plan. So, should we have a tornado that comes through, we work with an area church that would be providing all of the clothing resources. We have a plan with Habitat for Humanity for building resources. We are ready for the emergency that happens. And don't think I'm not calling on many of you to assist with that, depending on what that issue is. But we have those plans in place. We've dealt with those disasters. We work in bringing everybody together to what that need is. So know that those are not like in our brochures, but those are things that we do because they're also needed. So I think that's it. It's not, because again, I would tell you it depends, right? Whatever that need is that you have, don't ever hesitate to call our office. If we don't have it, we'll brainstorm on how to find it, or maybe we've got the telephone number as to who to get hold of. We don't want anybody struggling, especially you that are frontline workers. Know that if you call our office, it will give you my cell phone number. So if Jennifer is concerned about a client that she's worked with, and it is now 9 o'clock, and she's like, oh, I didn't get to that today, and I am very concerned about what's going to happen in the morning, you can call me. Don't hesitate to call. Law enforcement doesn't care if they call me at 3 o'clock in the morning. My fire pager doesn't care if it calls me at 4 o'clock in the morning. You're no different. I don't want people not able to sleep because of concerns that they have for people that they're trying to serve. Don't hesitate to call our office. Call the emergency number if it's an emergency. Now, if you're drunk and just got home from the bar at 2 a.m. and you called 911 and they gave you our phone number, and then you call and say, my electric's off, and I say, oh, okay, where do you live? Dowagiac. Okay, I can't help you. But generally I can. So don't hesitate to call, please. I don't want you worried about it all night. Any questions? Do you hear the truck backing up? Because I hear the truck backing up. Anybody want to go and unload a truck full of food? Thank you.
Appreciate it. So please notice on your table you have some feedback forms, and I'm going to send out the next date. I believe it's November 13th, but I think you took my paper. That's all right. Next community breakfast, November 13th from 8 to 9, same location. And thank you for showing up this morning. We appreciate it. And Lani, we really appreciate. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to call United Way, but please wait until after Fresh Food Initiative. Yeah. Thank you very much.